Welcome to CyberXplain channel. Today we are going to discuss your first step to great IAM access requests. Hey there. Welcome to our chill session where we break down the nitty-gritty of keeping things secure online. Today, we are starting at the very beginning, how folks actually get permission to use stuff. Think of it like needing a key to get into a room. An access request is basically you asking for that key. It's the first official step to using a system, an application, or even a specific piece of data. It's super important because it's the gatekeeper for who gets to do what. You might be thinking, why all the fuss? Can't I just log in? Well, imagine if everyone could just waltz into any room in a building or access any file cabinet. Chaos, right? That's why we have access requests. They help us make sure only the right people get access to the right things. It's all about keeping things safe and organized. Without them, we wouldn't know who's accessing what, which opens the door for all sorts of problems, from simple mistakes to serious security breaches. So, what actually goes into making a good access request? Think of it like filling out a form to apply for something important. A well-designed form has all the details needed for someone to make a smart decision. We are talking about who you are, what you need access to, why you need it, and who's asking for it. The more clear and complete this is, the smoother the process will be for everyone involved. A messy form can cause delays or lead to the wrong decisions being made. The first big piece of info on any access request is, who are you? We need to know exactly who is asking for access. This isn't just your name, it's often a unique identifier like an employee ID or your company email address. This helps systems and people track requests and ensures the request is coming from a legitimate person within the organization. It's like showing your ID badge at the reception desk. We need to be sure it's actually you. Next up, we need to be super specific about what asterisk you need access to. It's not enough to say I need access to the sales system. You might need to read reports, but not edit them. Or maybe you need access to customer data, but only for your region. The more precise you are, the better. This could mean specifying a particular application, a specific folder, a certain report, or even just view-only access. Being vague here can lead to either too much access being granted or not enough to do your job. This part is super important, the why. On every request form, you'll typically see who's asking, the requester, and who needs to give the green light, the approver. Sometimes, there's also, before a request even gets to a person for approval, there's often an automated step called request validation. Think of this as a quick sanity check by the system. It's looking for things that are obviously wrong or violate basic rules. For example, if a request asks for access that's known to be risky, or if it clashes with a segregation of duties rule, which we'll talk about later, but basically means no one person should have too much power, the system might flag it immediately. It's like a spell checker for your request. So, what kind of business rules are we talking about? These are the established guidelines that dictate how access should be managed. For instance, a rule might state that anyone requesting access to financial data must be in the finance department or have a specific role. Or, a rule might say that access to customer credit card information is only allowed for specific, highly vetted roles. Request validation makes sure that the request aligns with these predefined, important business rules, preventing simple mistakes and ensuring compliance. Now, about that segregation of duties or sort thing. Imagine a bank teller who can both approve loan applications and disburse the money. That's a lot of power in one person's hands, right? SOD is all about splitting up critical tasks, so no single person has the ability to do something risky without someone else checking it. In access requests, it means if someone can grant access, they shouldn't also be able to approve their own request for that same access. validation checks for these potential SOD violations upfront. After validation, if everything looks good, the request moves on to authorization. This is where a real person, or sometimes a series of people, actually reviews the request and decides whether to approve it. This is a crucial step because it involves human judgment and understanding of specific circumstances that a machine might not catch. It's the gatekeeper checking that the key is genuinely needed and appropriate for the person asking. Who gets to be the approver? Typically, it's someone who understands your role and responsibilities. Your direct manager is often the first line of approval because they know what you do day to day. For specific systems or data, the resource owner, the person or team responsible for that particular asset, might also need to approve. Sometimes, security officers also get involved, especially for requests that carry a higher risk. Security officers play a vital role here. They aren't just there to say no to everything. They ensure that the access being requested aligns with the organization's overall security policies and that potential risks are properly understood and managed. They might step in for requests related to sensitive data, high-privilege accounts, or when there's a potential SOD conflict that the automated validation missed. They act as a safeguard to make sure the whole process is secure. Now, how does the approval actually happen? There are different ways. Serial approval means one person approves, then the next, and so on, like a chain. Concurrent approval means multiple people can approve or reject at the same time. Think of it like this: for serial, you need your parent's signature, then your teacher's. For concurrent, both your parent and teacher can sign off around the same time. Concurrent approvals are usually faster, but you need a way to handle it if they disagree. What happens if one person approves and another rejects a concurrent request? It can get tricky. The simplest and safest way is often to treat any rejection as a veto. If even one person says no, the whole request is blocked. This ensures that all necessary parties are in agreement before access is granted. It's better to be safe than sorry, right? The system needs a clear rule for resolving these situations. Let's talk about a common problem. Imagine Sarah, a new hire, needs access to critical sales software on her first day. She submits a perfectly filled out manual request form. But it gets misplaced in her manager's overflowing inbox. Weeks go by, and Sarah can't do her job. This delay costs the company productivity and frustrates Sarah. This highlights why automated, clear processes are so vital. Manual processes are prone to human error and delays, which can have a real impact. That lost form scenario isn't just an annoyance, it has real consequences. When people can't get the access they need quickly, their productivity plummets. They're waiting around, unable to perform their tasks, which costs the company money. Plus, it creates a really bad first impression for new employees or partners. So, making sure access requests are handled efficiently isn't just good IT practice, it's good business practice. Once a decision is made, whether it's approved or rejected, clear communication is essential. Everyone involved, especially the requester, needs to be notified. If a request is rejected, the reason should be provided. This helps the requester understand why and what steps they might need to take next, perhaps resubmitting with more information. Good communication prevents confusion and frustration. It closes the loop on the request process. So, your request gets approved. Great. What happens next? This is where the provisioning part comes in. The approval acts as a signal for the IT team, or an automated system, to actually create or grant the access you asked for. This could involve setting up a new user account, adding you to specific groups, or assigning you certain permissions within an application. The approval is the official go-ahead for these actions to take place. What if your request gets rejected? Don't worry, it's not the end of the world. a good process will tell you why it was rejected. Maybe you didn't provide enough justification, or the access requested conflicts with a security policy. This feedback is super valuable. It helps you understand what needs to change. You might be able to resubmit with corrected information or discuss alternative solutions with the approver or IT. You might have noticed we keep mentioning automation. Why is it so important for access requests? Well, manual processes are slow, error-prone, and can get lost, like Sarah's form. Automated systems can validate requests instantly, route them to the right people much faster, and even handle some approvals automatically if the rules are clear. This speeds things up, reduces mistakes, and ensures a more consistent experience for everyone. Think of it as a super efficient digital assistant for your access requests. We often talk about resources. What exactly are we talking about here? A resource is anything that needs controlled access. This could be a file server, a specific database, a cloud application like Salesforce, or even a shared printer. It's basically any digital asset or service that has information or functionality that needs protection from unauthorized eyes or hands. So, when you request access, you are asking for permission to use one of these resources. A really cool advancement is self-service access requests. This means you, the user, can go into a portal, often a self-service portal, and request the access you need. The system then guides you through the process, maybe even suggesting pre-approved roles or access based on your job title. This empowers users and takes a load off the IT department. It's like being able to order your own supplies online instead of filling out paper forms. Sometimes, instead of requesting very specific permissions, you might request a role. Think of roles like sales manager or customer support agent. Each role comes with a predefined set of access rights. This simplifies things a lot. Instead of asking for 50 different permissions, you just ask for the sales manager role. This makes requests faster and ensures consistency, as everyone with that role gets the same access. It's like choosing a preset meal instead of ordering every dish individually. Defining these roles accurately is critical. If a sales manager role is accidentally given access to sensitive HR data, that's a problem. So, careful thought goes into defining what access belongs to each role. This is where business needs and security requirements really come together. A well-defined role means a simpler request for the user and a more secure, manageable process for IT. A common challenge is granting day one access for new hires. They need to be productive from the get-go. This means having access to essential tools right away. If the request and approval process is slow, this can't happen. Often, organizations have pre-approved access packages for common roles, so that when someone is hired, they get the basic necessities instantly. It's about being prepared and having that access ready to go on day one. Access requests aren't just for employees. Contractors, vendors, or even temporary staff might need access to specific systems. Their requests also need to go through a similar validation and approval process. However, their access might be temporary or limited to only what's absolutely necessary for their specific task. We need to make sure their access is properly managed and revoked when their contract ends. Sometimes, to speed things up, people might request a generic account, like support_admin that multiple people use. This is a big no-no for security. How do you know who did what when? Generic accounts make it impossible to track activity and hold people accountable. Each request should be tied to a unique individual. It's like sharing a single key for your whole house. It's way easier to lose track of who's coming and going. Sometimes, a regular request isn't enough. Maybe you need temporary elevated privileges to fix an urgent issue or help out a colleague who's out of office. These are called escalated access requests. They usually have a stricter approval process and are time-bound. You don't want to have admin rights forever if you only needed them for an hour. This ensures that powerful access is granted only when absolutely necessary and for the shortest possible time. In summary, a well-defined access request and approval process is foundational for good identity and access management. It's the gatekeeper, ensuring that only the right people get access to the right resources at the right time. By combining clear forms, smart validation, thoughtful authorization, and good communication, we can keep our systems secure and our users productive. So, now you know how important access requests and approvals are. Once that request is greenlit, the magic of provisioning happens. That's when your access is actually set up. We'll be diving into that in our next session. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the CyberXplain channel. See you on the next video.